Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's your boy Southpaw Slick, and I'm doing the review of Persona 3 Portable for the PlayStation Portable. Let's get to it. As you can see, this is the intro. We're probably a few seconds in. It's beautifully animated, has great music, which is something this series is definitely known for, and I will get more into that throughout the review. So we'll just let this play for a few seconds more. Yeah, you see Igor, Elizabeth, Theo, Igus. Okay. Well, there you go. That's Minato, the male protagonist. That's Minako, the female protagonist. And as you can see with the main menu, you can pick new game, load game, configuration, and data install, which speeds up the game slightly. Not too much, but slightly. If you pick new game, you have an option of 5 different difficulties, my favorite being Maniac, and I'm sure most of the Persona vets would also pick that because you start from scratch. It's fun to grind. I don't mind grinding in this game because the battles are fast paced, and yeah. So I'll say with this review, we'll start off with the Maniac difficulty. I'll pick the male protagonist, at least for the time being. Okay. Alright, so we'll go on the Maniac. And yes. And I will see you later on.
Yo, Shidori, how's your hand?
Now, as you can see, for the people that played the original Persona 3 and Persona 3 Fest, there's an absence of cutscenes, and they've been replaced with a more novel style artwork and audio to progress the story. It's not necessarily a big deal for me because I already seen the cutscenes, but it does take away a little bit from the presentation for the new players that are introduced to this game.
Did it heal that quickly?
But you will encounter a lot of these throughout the game.
Hey, Junpei. What do you do to make yourself feel alive?
I don't know. Breathing, I guess.
Alright. Now, when you're in the open world, instead of having the protagonist walk around like in the original versions of the game, you use a cursor and you click on people you want to converse with, or basically navigate around the school and the city. You can also talk to a few social links, which leveling up social links actually helps increase the leveling up process of your personas. So it is highly encouraged to do so. Hang out with these people as much as possible. Because trying to grind it out level by level can be extremely tedious and mundane. So it's highly advised that you do the social links. Highly advised. Now let's get into the dungeon crawling aspect of the game. As you can see, we're at the entrance of Tartarus, and present are the playable characters that you can pick, which you can pick up to 3 to join your party. Now, each character has a certain amount of strengths and weaknesses, and finding out which ones fit your personal playing style is extremely crucial. But then again, you'll also need to use all these characters to progress throughout all the floors in Tartarus. And you have your teleporter, which acts as a checkpoint of some sort when you reach a Tartarus boss that you can return to if you choose to take a break. You have your save point, which also has the ability to heal your party's HP and SP, something that wasn't present in the original and Persona 3 Fest. And you have the Velvet Room, where you can take on quests and fuse personas. Now for the actual dungeon crawling, you get to walk around. You have your party members with you. There's a checkpoint where you can teleport back to the main entrance, go up to the stairs, level up on the floors. And basically, oh, there's a golden shadow. I definitely have to sneak this one. Sneak attacking shadows is extremely important, especially on Maniac mode, because your enemies can get the enemy advantage, even though the golden shadows get an enemy advantage by default because of their agility. And that's a critical attack. Or weakness. Which we're going to get into that. Now you definitely want to sneak attack shadows that don't have a distress signal over their head, because they can get that enemy advantage I was talking about. Now this is an actual battle. As you can see, you have the option to attack with a weapon, a skill that the current persona that you're using has. You can use that. Item, you can pick between potions, a chewing soul that replenishes your SP and so on. Tactics, where you can set a certain party member with certain actions, but most likely you're going to pick manual operations, so we're not going to get into that. Persona, where you can switch between personas, kind of like in a Pokemon fashion, but once you switch over, you can't change it until the next turn. Defend, where you can just defend and receive less damage and escape, and thus running from battle. Analyze, and this is the ability to find out your enemy's weakness as well as the attacks they possess.
The enemy's weak against wind.
Alright, they're weak against wind, so I'm going to use a Gargle spell. Now, hitting them with a weakness will cause the enemy to become down. Having all the enemies down will allow your party to do an all-out attack, which takes away a massive amount of damage, which I'm going to perform now.
That's it. The enemy is
Alright,
down.
let's kick some ass.
Let's kick some ass. Now, after every battle, if you defeat your enemies with a all-out attack or hit the last enemy with the protagonist, you unlock Shuffle Time, and it allows you to get certain goodies such as a persona, an increased amount of experience points, a replenishing of health, coins, and so on. Oh, I just realized the battles I did forget to cover were the boss battles. The boss battles actually occur at the end of each month when there's a full moon. So right now I'm in the Vision Quest. Yes, I've gotten that far. So I'm fighting the first boss battle.
The enemy is strong against ice.
And these guys are not necessarily that tough. Probably say the Tartarus bosses give me more of a challenge than these guys do. But they're still fun nonetheless. But speaking of the Vision Quest, I'm actually going to get back to you. Now, we're in the Velvet Room. The Velvet Room is where you see Igor and his assistants, which is either going to be Elizabeth and Theo, depending on which one you've picked. And you can go into the check requests, compendium. Now you can take on quests. You unlock items for doing so. Some are necessary to perform certain fusions, so you definitely want to do that if you want to fill up your Pokedex. And this is your Pokedex, the compendium, and they pretty much show all the personas you've used up until this point. And as far as fusion goes, you can fuse normal, triangle, and you also gain the ability to fuse 4, 5, and 6 personas at once, but you need specific ones to make those actually happen, because these are the strongest personas in the game. We'll show a little sample. And depending on how high your social link is, determines the amount of experience points your fused persona gains. And also abilities transfer over as well. So sometimes you want to wait to fuse them right away. You know, sometimes you want to shuffle back and forth to make sure you've assembled the right amount or the desired abilities that you want. And that wasn't that high, but there's an example. And definitely one thing I cannot go without saying in this review or go without talking about is the music. The music is dope. It is a 10 out of 10. It is a mix of every genre, and it's amazing. Shoji Meguro is a fucking genius for doing this. Good old dungeon crawling music as well. And when I was talking about the Vision Quest earlier, this is the consolation prize that you get for defeating everything, and that's fighting this cheap ass bitch named Margaret. Let me show you a little trick before I put in my final 2 cents. Oh, I pretty much covered every aspect of the game. The game is amazing. It's probably the best iteration of Persona 3 that I can recommend. The gameplay is amazing, the music is amazing, the story is amazing, the characters are amazing, and simply I just give this game, I have to say, a 10 out of 10. And that's even with the absence of the cutscenes. The absence of the cutscenes does not take away from the story. So, there you go. Persona 3 Portable, PlayStation Portable, 10 out of 10, Southpaw Slick, Nyrdgang Gaming. And I'm out.